My name is Michael. And 3 months ago, on what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, I discovered that the daughter I'd raised for 7 years wasn't mine. Not because of a paternity test. Not because my wife confessed. But because of a throwaway comment from a stranger at a birthday party. This is that story. I met Claire when we were both 24. She was a paralegal at a law firm downtown. I was working in IT for a hospital. We met through a dating app. First date was coffee. Second date was dinner. Third date, I knew I was going to marry her. She was everything I thought I wanted. Beautiful, ambitious, funny in that sharp, quick way that kept me on my toes. We moved fast. Too fast, probably. But when you think you've found the one, why wait? We got engaged after 8 months. Married 6 months after that. My mom said we were rushing. That we barely knew each other. I didn't listen. I was in love. 3 months into the marriage, Claire got pregnant. We weren't trying, but we weren't preventing it either. When she told me, I cried. Happy tears. The kind of tears you cry when your whole life suddenly makes sense. I was going to be a dad. Lily was born on a Tuesday in March. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Dark hair. Big eyes. Perfect. The nurse handed her to me, and I swear to God, my heart grew 3 sizes. This tiny person. This brand new human. Half me. Half Claire. All ours. I counted her fingers. Counted her toes. Memorized her face. Promised her silently that I'd protect her forever. That I'd be the dad my father never was. That she'd never doubt for a second how much she was loved. Claire seemed happy too. Tired, overwhelmed, but happy. We took photos. Called our families. Posted on social media. Did all the things new parents do. Everything seemed perfect, because I had no reason to think it wasn't. The first few years were hard, in the way all new parent years are hard. No sleep. No time. No idea what we were doing half the time. But we figured it out together. Lily was an easy baby. Slept through the night early. Smiled a lot. Hit all her milestones right on schedule. I was obsessed with her. That kind of all-consuming love that you don't understand until you experience it. I was there for everything. First smile. First laugh. First word. First steps. I took more photos and videos than any human being needed to take. But I didn't care. I wanted to remember everything. Claire went back to work when Lily was 4 months old. Said she needed to for her sanity. I supported it. We hired a nanny. Made it work. I'd rush home from work every day just to see Lily. To play with her. To read to her before bed. She became my whole world. My reason for everything. Every decision I made was about being a good father to her. Providing for her. Being present. As Lily got older, people would comment on how different she looked from me. She must take after mom, they'd say. Or, she's all Claire. I'd laugh it off. Genetics are weird. I looked nothing like my dad either. No big deal. But there were moments. Small moments. Where something would nag at me. Some instinct I couldn't name. When Lily was 3, we went to a family reunion on my side. My aunt, who I hadn't seen in years, met Lily for the first time. She studied her face for a long minute. Then looked at me. Then at Claire. Then back at Lily. Interesting, was all she said. But her tone was weird. Like she'd noticed something she wasn't going to say out loud. I asked her what she meant. She waved me off. Said Lily was beautiful. Changed the subject. But the way she'd looked at me stuck with me for days. Another time, Lily had to get blood work done for a routine checkup. The nurse asked my blood type for the records. I told her O positive. She asked about Claire. A positive, I said. The nurse paused. Looked at Lily's chart. Then at me. Then just nodded and moved on. I didn't think much of it at the time. But later, Google told me that 2 parents with O and A could have certain blood types. And certain blood types they couldn't. I didn't dig deeper. Didn't want to know. Because not knowing felt safer. Our marriage started showing cracks around year 5. Claire became distant. Distracted. Said she was stressed at work. That motherhood was harder than she'd expected. that she felt like she'd lost herself. I tried to be supportive, took on more with Lily, did more around the house, suggested therapy. She'd go for a few sessions, then stop, said it wasn't helping. She started working late more often, going out with work friends, coming home smelling like wine and cigarettes, even though she didn't smoke. I'd ask about her night. She'd give vague answers, say I was being controlling, paranoid. I wasn't suspicious of an affair. Not really. I was more worried she was depressed, that she was pulling away from both me and Lily, that our family was falling apart and I didn't know how to fix it. Then one Saturday, she sat me down and said she needed space, that she wasn't happy, that she'd been thinking about separation. I was blindsided, begged her to try counseling, to give us a real chance before giving up. She agreed, reluctantly, but she agreed. We went to 3 sessions. She barely participated. The therapist tried to dig into our issues. Claire shut down, said she didn't want to talk about the past, that we should focus on moving forward. The therapist pushed, asked if there was something specific that was creating distance, something unresolved. Claire got defensive, said the therapist was putting words in her mouth. We never went back. Things limped along for another year and a half. We stayed together for Lily. That's what we told ourselves. But really, we just didn't have the energy to blow everything up. Claire moved into the guest bedroom. We coexisted, co-parented, barely spoke unless it was about Lily's schedule or household logistics. I threw myself into being a dad. If my marriage was failing, at least I could be good at that. Lily was 6 now, in 1st grade. Smart, funny, kind. Everything good in my life was because of her. I started taking her on daddy-daughter dates. Just us. Movies. Ice cream. Park. Anything to make her feel special. To make sure she knew that even if her parents weren't happy, she was loved beyond measure. She'd hold my hand walking to the car, tell me I was the best daddy in the world, and I'd feel my heart break and heal at the same time. Then came Lily's 7th birthday party. We'd rented a space at a local park, invited her whole class, set up games and activities. Claire and I were cordial, playing the part of functioning parents, for Lily's sake. About halfway through the party, one of the dads approached me. Someone I'd seen at school pickup but never really talked to. His kid was in Lily's class. "Hey, man," he said. "Can I ask you something? And I'm not trying to be weird, I'm just curious." "Sure," I said. "Is Lily adopted?" I felt like I'd been punched. "What? No. Why would you ask that?" He looked uncomfortable. "It's just, my wife and I were talking, and we couldn't figure out who she looks like. She doesn't really look like you or Claire. Not in an obvious way. So we thought maybe adoption. No judgment. Just curious." I forced a laugh. "Nope. She's ours. Biologically. Genetics are just weird sometimes." "Huh," he said, still looking puzzled. "Yeah, weird." He walked away. And I stood there, heart pounding, because something about that question cracked something open in me. That night, after Lily was in bed and Claire was in her room, I sat in the dark living room, thinking, remembering, adding up all the little moments that had never quite made sense. The way people always commented on how different Lily looked, the nurse's pause at the blood test, my aunt's strange reaction, Claire's secrecy, her distance, her refusal to talk about the past in therapy. I told myself I was being paranoid, that the dad at the party had just planted a seed that was now growing into something that didn't exist, that I was looking for problems where there weren't any, but I couldn't shake it. The doubt, the question, the fear. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I ordered a paternity test online. One of those DNA kits. Discreet, private. Results in 2 weeks. I swabbed Lily's cheek while she slept. Felt like the worst person in the world doing it. Like I was betraying her somehow. But I needed to know. One way or another, I needed to know. I sent it in. And waited. Those 2 weeks were torture. I went through every emotion. Guilt for even testing. Fear of what I might find out. Hope that I was wrong. Dread that I wasn't. I watched Claire. Studied her. Looked for signs of, what? Guilt? Deception? But she just seemed tired. Checked out. Same as she'd been for years. I looked at Lily. Really looked at her. Tried to see myself in her features. And I couldn't. Not really. Her nose was different. Her eyes were different. Her smile was different. But so what? Kids don't always look like their parents. That didn't mean anything. Right, the results came on a Thursday. Email notification. I was at work, sitting in a conference room. Phone buzzed. I saw the subject line. Your DNA results are ready. I couldn't breathe. Excused myself. Locked myself in a bathroom stall. Hands shaking. Heart hammering. Opened the email. Clicked the link. Entered my password. And there it was. Clear. Definitive. Undeniable. Probability of paternity, 0%. I stared at those words. Read them over and over. Hoping they'd change. Hoping I'd misunderstood. But there was no misunderstanding. 0%. Not low. Not inconclusive. 0. Meaning there was no chance. Not even a statistical anomaly. Lily wasn't mine. I don't remember much of the rest of that day. I must have left work early. Drove home somehow. Sat in my car in the driveway for an hour. Staring at nothing. My brain couldn't process it. 7 years. 7 years of loving this child. Of being her father. Of building my entire identity around her. And she wasn't mine. Which meant Claire had lied. From the beginning. For 7 years. Let me believe I was Lily's father. Let me raise another man's child. And never said a word. The betrayal was so massive I couldn't even feel it fully. It was like trying to comprehend the size of the universe. Too big. Too incomprehensible. I finally went inside. Claire was making dinner. Lily was doing homework at the kitchen table. A normal evening. Like every other evening. Except nothing would ever be normal again. I walked past them. Went to the guest bedroom where Claire slept. Waited. She came up an hour later. Saw me sitting on her bed, holding my phone. We need to talk, I said. She sighed. Michael, I'm tired. Can this wait? No. It can't. Something in my voice made her stop. She closed the door. Sat down. I showed her the email. The results. Watched her face go pale. Then red. Then pale again. Michael, is it true? She didn't answer. Just stared at the screen. Claire, is it true? Is Lily not mine? She started crying. Not sad tears. Panicked tears. How did you, is it true? She nodded. Barely. But she nodded. The room tilted. Even though I'd known. Even though the test had told me. Hearing her confirm it made it real in a way it hadn't been before. Who? I managed to ask. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. Someone from work. Years ago. Before we were married. It was one time. I didn't think, before we were married? Claire, we got married and 3 months later you were pregnant. The timeline doesn't, I stopped. Did the math. You were already pregnant when we got married. She was sobbing now. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Not until after. And then I didn't know what to do. You were so happy. So excited. You couldn't tell me the truth? For 7 years? You let me believe, my voice broke. I loved her. I love her. She's my daughter. I know. I know you do. And she loves you. You're her father in every way that matters. Except biology. Except truth. Except the fact that you lied to me every single day for 7 years. I'm sorry. Michael, I'm so sorry. I stood up. Couldn't be in that room anymore. Does he know? The real father. No. And he can't. He's married. Has kids. It would ruin his life. I laughed. Actually laughed. His life? What about mine? What about Lily's? Please. Please don't tell her. She doesn't need to know. You're her dad. You're the only dad she's ever known. I left the room. Couldn't look at Claire anymore. Went downstairs. Lily was still at the table. Looked up at me with those big trusting eyes. Daddy, will you help me with my math? And I broke. Right there. Broke into a million pieces that I knew would never fit back together right. I didn't sleep that night. Lay in bed. Staring at the ceiling. Mind racing through everything. Every memory. Every moment. All of it recontextualized now. The pregnancy announcement. The birth. Every milestone. Every "I love you, Daddy." All of it real for me. All of it built on a lie for her. I thought about walking away. Just leaving. Filing for divorce. Cutting ties. Starting over somewhere else. Without the constant reminder of the betrayal. But then I thought about Lily waking up and me not being there. Her asking where Daddy went. Why Daddy left. And I couldn't do it. Couldn't leave her. Because whatever blood said, she was my daughter. I'd raised her. I was the only father she knew. But staying meant forgiving Claire. Or at least living with what she'd done. And I didn't know if I could do that either. I moved out 2 days later. Told Lily that Mommy and Daddy needed some space but that I'd see her all the time. That nothing would change for her. That I loved her more than anything in the world. She cried. Asked if it was her fault. If she'd done something wrong. I held her. Told her no. That she was perfect. That this was grown-up stuff that had nothing to do with her. But she knew. Kids always know. That something fundamental had shifted. That her world was different now even if she didn't understand why. I got a small apartment. 1 bedroom. Set up the living room so Lily could have a space when she visited. Bought her favorite foods. Her favorite movies. Made it as much of a home as I could. Filed for divorce. Claire didn't fight it. We did mediation. Split everything. I got joint custody. Every other week with Lily. Holidays alternated. The lawyers kept asking about child support. About custody arrangements. About parental rights. And I kept thinking, but I'm not her parent. Not legally. Not biologically. I have no rights. But I never said it. Never brought up the paternity test. Never used it as leverage. Because using it would hurt Lily. And I'd die before I hurt her. The first few months after the separation were hell. Adjusting to only seeing Lily part-time. Watching her struggle with the divorce. Dealing with my own anger and grief and confusion. I went to therapy. Had to. Was falling apart otherwise. The therapist said I was grieving multiple losses at once. The marriage. The trust. The identity I'd built around being Lily's biological father. The future I'd imagined. She asked if I'd told Lily the truth. I said no. She asked if I planned to. I didn't know. Part of me thought she deserved to know. Part of me thought it would destroy her. Part of me wanted Claire to be the one to tell her. Part of me wanted to protect Claire from having to. I was a mess. Angry at Claire. Angry at the biological father who got to remain anonymous while I dealt with the fallout. Angry at myself for not seeing the signs sooner. But never angry at Lily. Never for a second angry at her. She was innocent in all of this. A child caught in the consequences of adult lies. About 6 months into the separation, I met with a lawyer. Asked about my legal rights. Whether the paternity test changed anything. Whether I could be forced to pay child support for a kid who wasn't biologically mine. The lawyer explained that since I'd signed the birth certificate and acted as her father all these years, I was legally her father regardless of biology. That unless I chose to challenge it, my parental rights and responsibilities remained intact. I could challenge it. Could get out of child support. Maybe even custody. But it would mean telling Lily. Telling the court. Making it public record that I wasn't her biological father. I left that meeting and threw up in the parking lot. The thought of doing that to her. Of making her feel unwanted. Rejected. Like she'd lost her father. I couldn't. I wouldn't. Whatever my relationship with Claire had become, Lily was still my daughter. Maybe not by blood. But by choice. By love. By every moment we'd shared together. I decided then that I'd never tell her. That as far as she was concerned, I was her father. Period. The truth would only hurt her. And I'd already caused her enough pain by leaving. Lily adjusted better than I expected. Kids are resilient in ways adults aren't. She had her struggles. Acting out at school. Nightmares. Clinginess. But therapy helped. Routine helped. Consistency helped. And I made sure that my weeks with her were good. Quality time. No distractions. No anger. No bitterness. Just us. Father and daughter. The way it had always been. We'd have breakfast together. I'd drop her at school. Pick her up. Help with homework. Make dinner. Play games. Read stories. Tuck her in. Tell her I loved her. And she'd say it back. I love you too, Daddy. Every time. Without hesitation. Without doubt. Those words healed me in ways therapy never could. Because they reminded me that biology wasn't what made me her father. Love did. Presence did. Showing up every day did. The divorce finalized a year after I found out. Clean break. Split assets. Custody agreement signed. We were officially strangers who happened to co-parent a child. Claire never apologized beyond that first night. Never brought it up again. We communicated only about Lily. Drop-off times. School events. Medical appointments. Nothing personal. Nothing real. I sometimes wondered if she felt guilty. If she thought about what she'd done. If she regretted it. But I never asked. Because I didn't want to know. And it didn't matter anymore. The damage was done. We were just living in it now. I dated sporadically. But I always ended things before they got serious. Because how do you explain this to someone new? How do you tell them that your daughter isn't biologically yours, but you're raising her anyway? That your ex-wife lied to you for 7 years and you stayed? Most people wouldn't understand. They'd think I was a fool. Or a saint. Or pathetic. I didn't need that judgment. Lily turned 8. Then 9. Then 10. Each birthday a reminder of how much time had passed. How much had changed. How much hadn't. She still called me Dad. Still ran to me when I picked her up. Still chose me for Father's Day crafts at school. Still introduced me as her father to new friends. And I still showed up. To every recital. Every game. Every parent-teacher conference. Every moment that mattered. People who didn't know our history would say I was a great dad. Involved. Present. Caring. And I guess I was. But it felt different now. Like I was performing fatherhood instead of just being a father. Because there was always this secret between me and Claire. This truth that sat heavy in every interaction. Every decision. Every plan for Lily's future. Last month, Lily asked me a question that stopped my heart. We were driving home from soccer practice. She was quiet. Staring out the window. Then suddenly said, Dad, do I look like you? What? Do I look like you? Some kids at school said I don't look like you or Mom. That I must be adopted. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. What did you tell them? That I'm not adopted. That you're my dad. But then I looked in the mirror and I couldn't really see it. Do I look like you? I pulled over. Turned to look at her. This beautiful kid. This perfect person. My daughter. You look like you, I said. And that's perfect. But, Lily, listen to me. You're my daughter. I'm your dad. Not because of how you look, but because I choose you. Every single day. I choose to be your father. And nothing will ever change that. Okay? She thought about this. Okay. Do you believe me?
Yeah.
I believe you. She went back to looking out the window. And I sat there, heart hammering, wondering if she suspected. If some part of her knew. If this was the beginning of questions I wasn't ready to answer. That conversation haunts me. Because I know one day she'll ask again. She'll get older. More curious. Maybe she'll do one of those ancestry DNA tests for fun. And the truth will come out. And when it does, she'll know I lied. By omission, but still lied. She'll wonder if I stayed because I loved her or because I felt obligated. She'll question everything we've built together. I don't know how to prevent that. Don't know if I should tell her now before she finds out another way. Don't know if keeping the secret is protecting her or setting her up for worse pain later. My therapist says there's no right answer. That either choice comes with consequences. That I'll have to make peace with whichever path I choose. But how do you make peace with something like this? How do you reconcile love and lies? Truth and protection? Biology and choice. 3 months ago, I found out I wasn't Lily's biological father. And my entire life changed. My past was rewritten. My future became uncertain. Everything I thought I knew turned out to be based on a lie. But here's what didn't change. My love for her. My commitment to her. My identity as her father. Biology gave her life, but I gave her a childhood. I gave her security. I gave her a father who showed up, who stayed, even when leaving would have been easier, even when the truth made staying the hardest thing I've ever done. So am I her father? According to DNA, no. According to law, yes. According to love, absolutely. And maybe that's the only answer that matters. Maybe fatherhood isn't about blood. It's about choice. It's about sacrifice. It's about loving someone so much that their happiness matters more than your pain. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever tell Lily the truth. I don't know if she'll forgive me if she finds out I kept it from her. I don't know if I made the right choice by staying. But I know this. I love her. She's my daughter. And I'll be her father until my last breath, whether biology agrees or not. That's my story. And I'm still living it. One day at a time.